Hey guys, so I just wanted to share from my reading from Matthew 1 today. It's a very interesting chapter. I know it's kind of easy to skip over a lot of it, but I actually particularly want to talk about the genealogy of Jesus because there's so much fascinating stuff in there that I can't even cover it all in 10 minutes. But there are some things that may not be as clearly noticed that I wanted to point out that make his genealogy so incredible. So in Matthew, he actually mnemonically breaks it up in sets of 14, even though there's technically more people in Jesus's genealogy. Like you'll see in the book of Luke, it goes even further back. But he gives the genealogy from Abraham to David to Jeconiah. And so essentially he breaks it down of, hey, here's from Abraham, the promise given to Israel, the covenant with God, the very first covenant. And then you have from Abraham, who represents the promise of the seed, the promise of the promised land and the inheritance through Abraham, right? You then have David as the next point, which is representative past the patristic period to the time of the kings. And we know David is considered the good king. He was the man after God's own heart. He's the one to whom the Davidic covenant was given. So we have a secondary covenant after that. We have the Abrahamic covenant represented in the very start of Jesus's genealogy in Matthew. Then we have the Davidic covenant, this promise of a Messiah who will reign of the seed of David on the throne forever. And so we have some really cool stuff at the start. But what I really want to point out is the third one, because that's where things get really interesting. Because if I'm a good Jewish reader in the first century, and I read, okay, yeah, so he's got roots in Abraham, like all of us have Father Abraham, right? And then I read, oh, he's from the line of David. That's where the Messiah is supposed to come from. That would open eyes, right? Like you have a rightful heirship to the Davidic throne if you're of the line of David. And so then he gives the third one, and that's where it kind of would open eyes, because the third one is Jeconiah. And you may ask, who the heck is Jeconiah? Well, he was actually a really bad king. Like if you read specifically Jeremiah, I believe it's 22:30, there's actually a curse placed on Jeconiah that his seed would not ever be on the throne ever again. And so that would raise some eyes, right? Like, okay, so he's of the line of Abraham. Yeah, he's Jewish. He's from the line of David, so he does have the right to the throne. And he is perhaps of that messianic line, right? Like he might be the Christ. But then you have Jeconiah, and it's like, wait a minute. But Jeconiah, no one's allowed to be on the throne of David from Jeconiah. So Jesus can't be the Messiah? And so that would open up eyes, right? Like if I'm a Jewish reader in Matthew 1, I'm like, okay, I get the first two, but why Jeconiah? Like that seems to completely invalidate his rightful place as Messiah, if that's the claim that's being made, which it obviously is in Matthew. And that's why it immediately goes into the virgin birth. And this points out how important the virgin birth is from the genealogy of Christ. It's because of that curse placed on Jeconiah that his seed in particular would not be allowed on the throne, that Jesus had to be born of a virgin. Because, well, he had the line of David through Joseph, he had the patristic heirship, right? Through his father, he had the rightful spot on the line of David. The seed, particularly of Jeconiah, could not be on the throne. And so the fact that he wasn't actually born of the seed of Joseph, but he was instead fulfilling the prophecy in, I believe it's Isaiah 7, where it says, there will be a virgin who will be with child, and you shall name him Emmanuel, that being God with us. That's why Matthew 1 immediately goes into the virgin birth. It's like immediately explaining, hey, here's how he fulfills the promises from Abraham. Here's how he fulfills the promises from David. But here's also the reason why the virgin birth is necessary. So it's just very cool. Another thing that you notice is the presence of a lot of notable Gentiles in the midst of his genealogy. You have Rahab, the harlot from Jericho, is mentioned. Usually you don't mention the women in the genealogy. in Jewish tradition. Like, it would only be the fathers. But in Jesus's genealogy, Rahab is mentioned, and you also have Tamar mentioned, which is a whole situation. Not a Gentile, but very, very interesting choice. You also have not just Rahab, but you have Ruth. Ruth, who married Boaz, who was a Moabite, which may not be much to us, but that's another, like, big, bad, foreign, they worship false gods in the time of Joshua, Judges, in the time of Deuteronomy. Like, there was a lot of bad blood there. And so the fact that Jesus represents through his genealogy not just the Jewish people, but also the Gentiles who came to God. It's sort of an insight into what Jesus' purpose would be in bringing a light to all the nations. A final thing that I want to point out is that you have a very long genealogy. Like, when you look at genealogies in the Old Testament, there's actually a sense in which when you have a long genealogy, it represents almost a reverence for that person, a sense of importance to them. It's saying, hey, this person is backed up by a line that is important, right? Like, we'll say, like, oh, he's Rehoboam. He's the son of Solomon, son of David, son of Jesse, right? Like, you have this authority from the line that you came from, which is why genealogies were super important, particularly when God put in place certain things like the Aaronic priesthood, the line of David. Like, there are very important things from that. And so the fact that Jesus's genealogy has 42 names, you're not going to find anything that long in the Old Testament. And it's interesting when you look at Luke's parallel too, because Luke's parallel account where he goes through the genealogy, which most people think is through Mary instead, because it doesn't have Jeconiah there and doesn't have the curse that has to be worked around. It doesn't just stop at Abraham. It goes all the way back to creation, saying the son of Adam, the Son of God. So he literally goes all the way back. And so Luke makes this same point that Matthew does by including the Canaanites, the Moabites, but in a different way. Instead of saying, hey, there are Gentiles who came to Yahweh in Jesus's genealogy, Luke takes a different route to point out how Jesus is for everyone by saying, not only does he have a lineage through David, a lineage through Abraham, but let's go all the way back to creation. Let's go all the way back to Adam and even end it with Son of God. So when you're looking at it, it's actually like, oh yes, Jesus, comma, the Son of God. It's kind of cheeky, put in there by Luke. Like, it's making it very clear Jesus's connection to creation, to his relationship with God, and to his being begotten by God in particular. So there's so much in the genealogy of Jesus, both in Matthew and also Luke, but it's so easy to skip over. But Matthew 1 holds so much rich depth, and we could go into a case study of every single individual and all of the ways that Jesus all of these individuals typified the fulfillments that Jesus Christ would complete. Like, Jesus was the better David, Jesus was the better Moses, Jesus was the better Abraham. Like, Jesus was just better. But I just wanted to share with that because that's an incredible thing in Matthew 1 that we can look at and appreciate. So don't just skip over the genealogies, dig deep. Like, there's actually really cool stuff in there when you take time to look at some of the names and realize, wait, there's theological depth and meaning behind all of this.